All right, today we're going to dive into Jamaican Fragment by A.L. Hendricks. Now, this is one of those short stories that just packs a massive punch. It shows how, one tiny little observation can completely unravel everything you think you believe. It's really this brilliant look at the assumptions we all make and, well, how fast they can become our reality. So, let's get right into it.
And this question, right here, this is what the whole story really hinges on. Think about it. Can a simple kids' game actually expose our deepest, most hidden prejudices? It's asking us, to look at how fast we jump to conclusions, how we see everything through the filter of our own biases. Even something as innocent as watching a couple of kids play. So our story kicks off with the narrator just going about his day. He's on his daily walk, a half mile from home. It's pleasant, it's routine, it's just a normal day. But that last part of the quote, that's the key. I learned something from a little incident. It's a little bit of foreshadowing, right? Something's about to happen that's anything but ordinary. Okay, so this is where it all starts. The narrator's on his walk, and he spots two little boys playing in a garden. And what he sees, well, it literally stops him in his tracks. So let's break down what he's seeing. There's a bigger boy who's dark-skinned, Jamaican, maybe 5 years old, and then there's a smaller boy who's white, maybe about 4. But here's the thing you absolutely have to notice. They're dressed exactly the same. Blue shirt, khaki pants. Now that's a huge clue for the narrator. It tells him they're probably from the same kind of background, the same social class. But it's the way they're playing that really grabs his attention. The little white boy is just striding around like he owns the place, super imperious. And the bigger, dark-skinned boy, he's just kind of shuffling behind him, all quiet and meek. I mean, the power dynamic just hits you right away. It's so clear, so stark. And it's not just their body language either. The narrator is close enough to actually hear what's being said. And it's just this stream of commands from the little white boy. Pick up that stick, jump into the flowers. And the dark-skinned boy, he just does it. No questions asked. He picks up the stick, he jumps in the flowers, he gets the water. The submission seems, well, total. Now, this isn't just some casual observation that he just forgets about a minute later. No way. This triggers something deep inside him, a real crisis of faith. What he saw shakes him to his absolute core. It forces him to start asking these huge, painful questions about his society, about his own people. And here it is. This is the absolute heart of his torment. He sees this one little scene, and his mind immediately leaps to this devastating conclusion. He asks himself, straight up, were we, as a race, really inferior? I mean, could this one kid's submissiveness actually be proof of something rotten at the core of his own people? It's just this crushing moment of self-doubt. And from there, he just spirals. He starts wondering, is this idea of inferiority so deep that even tiny kids just know it instinctively? He's thinking, is that dark boy already accepting his place in the world as, the white man's servant? You can feel the entire weight of history, of prejudice, just crashing down on this one single moment he saw in a garden. And this feeling, it wasn't just a passing thought. This heavy, awful feeling sticks with him for a whole day. His faith in his people, his pride, his entire worldview, really. It's just completely shattered. And all because of something he saw for maybe 5 minutes. All right, so the next morning comes around. The narrator is on the same walk, still feeling awful about what he saw. And yep, the boys are there again. He kind of stops, almost bracing himself, expecting to see the same disturbing scene play out. But what he sees is the exact opposite. Wait a second, the tables have completely turned. Today, it's the dark-skinned boy who's the boss. He's the one walking around giving orders. And the little white boy, he's the one shuffling along behind, obeying every single command, just as quietly as his friend did the day before. It's a total flip. And then the narrator hears this one specific command that just crystallizes everything. The dark boy says, "Peel it for me." And the little white boy peels a banana and just hands it over. The story even calls him his dark master. I mean, that phrase just perfectly captures how completely the power dynamic he'd been agonizing over had been turned on its head. And then it just clicks. You could almost feel the wave of relief washing over him. He finally gets it. This wasn't some profound display of racial dynamics. It was a game. Just a simple game of taking turns being the boss, being the slave. A game he probably played himself when he was a kid. All that pain, all that agonizing, it was all based on a total misunderstanding. But hold on, the story's not quite done. There's one more twist. The narrator sees a white man standing by the gate, also watching the kids. And now that he feels like he understands everything, he decides to go talk to him. And this conversation, it leads to the final and honestly the most powerful revelation of the whole story. So the narrator's feeling a little smug, he thinks he's cracked the code. And he looks at this other man and assumes he must be going through the same anxiety he was, just, flipped. He probably thinks this poor guy is worried about black dominance now. So he decides he's going to be the one to put his mind at ease. So he walks up, feeling all knowledgeable, and starts explaining the game to the man. But the man just kind of smiles and says, "I know all about the game." He's not worried. He already knows what's going on. And the reason he knows, well, that's the big reveal. And then he drops the bombshell. "The boys are brothers, my sons." Boom. Just like that, that one sentence completely destroys every single assumption the narrator has built up. They aren't just playmates from different races. They're family. They are brothers. And then, to complete the picture, the father points to a beautiful brown woman on the porch and says, "That's my wife." And there it is. The whole thing comes together. This was never about the complicated racial dynamics of a society playing out in a garden. It was just a family, a Jamaican family. You can imagine how this just completely flips the narrator's world upside down for a second time. All that despair he was feeling yesterday, it's gone. And in its place is this incredible, overwhelming feeling of joy and pride in his country. Because in this one family, he sees something beautiful, something true. He sees a Jamaica where it's possible for a white man and a brown woman to fall in love, get married, and have a family. Where their two sons, one dark and one white, can play without a care in the world, totally free from all the baggage that adults project onto them. This, he realizes, this is my country. These are my people. And he's so incredibly proud. And so, the story leaves us with this final, really important question. A question that's not for the narrator, but for us. I mean, think about it. He spent a whole day tormented by this giant, ugly story he built about racial inferiority, all from a 5-minute glance. It really makes you wonder, right? How often do our own assumptions, our own biases, build the world that we see? What little fragments of reality are we getting wrong every single day?